Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Andrzej Pestridge and welcome to the installation guide to the Creative Design Studio's Night Environment Next Generation series. This just covers the entire series, so it's kind of a one-fits-all. Not to be confused with their Night Environment series, which is a different series, which has kind of already covered that in previous videos. This is their Next Generation NG series, which is only just launched really, with the South California region. North California will be coming soon as of making this video, but everything in this video goes for every single region, so future regions that are coming, you know, this video applies to that as well. What we're going to do is basically I'm going to show you how to easily install correctly the packages so you don't have any problems. The way this data applies itself into the sim kind of means that certain things have to be done first before it will inject it properly, and that you'll see it appropriately in the sim. Then we'll also go through the settings in P3D into how you can set this up so you can get the best from it in P3D. Now, of course, the NG series is only compatible with the version 4 and version 5 of P3D, whereas the Night environment is actually compatible with FSX as well and previous versions to 4 of P3D. But don't be confused again by the Night environment to the NG. This is the Night environment page, and there's already quite a lot of regions out for this. They're standalone packages that kind of mirror photoreal states from Mega Scenery, whereas the NG series kind of mirror the True Earth series from Orbex and work best with Orbex's True Earth as well, in terms of it replaces the night lighting from True Earth that is baked into the textures of Orbex's product. Previous users will know that when flying at night using True Earth's default night lighting, it doesn't look that good because it's baked into the texture. Well, this will completely cover that and replace it with its own data set. Anyway, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is when you come to the page in the shop here at the Creative Design Studios, the link is down below. You know, click on the region, you know, products that you're wanting, and it will open up to this page. Now, it's not going to say download file because, you know, you haven't purchased it yet. I've already got it, so it says download file for me, but you won't see that there. It tells you a little bit about it, what it supports, and then there is the option to purchase which one you want. So you just tick the one that you want, add to cart, go to purchase it, and then go to your manage purchases, you know, section of that website, which is literally just below the shop order for this website, and it says orders, manage purchases, my details. Click on manage purchases and it will be the most bottom product of your list here, and then you literally just go and click manage, and there is the download file link beyond this manage link here. So clicking that and then scrolling down, and there it is there. Your license key here is available. You'll need that for the installation. I recommend downloading this to a separate USB drive, a portable one, that you can then refer to if you have to uninstall it. Also put your license key inside that download folder and keep all your downloads together with all your license keys together, and it makes it a lot easier to have to keep returning to your account every time you want to install something. So anyway, let's go install something, shall we? So when you download it, either download it to your desktop or to a folder on the C drive of your PC, either in videos, downloads, music, pictures, whatever it may be. I've put it in a new folder here. So here we got Night Environment California South. I'm not going to obviously put my license key code in the same folder to show you, but you do want to have that handy in order to install it. But there's something you need to do first before we install this product. So it's not an easy case of, I'm just going to install the product, you know. If your PC isn't actually working correctly, if the operating system isn't correctly working, or if your hardware is not running correctly, then you're going to have problems actually installing this to get it to work properly, even before you try to use it. So let's set you up correctly first, and then we'll install it. First things first is open up a command prompt. Use the search function down here, type cmd, and go to run this as administrator. And you want to type in sfc space / scan now as one word, right? Click enter, and it will perform a scan on your PC. Now, this scan should only take 3 minutes in length. If it takes longer than 4 minutes, your PC actually might not be suitable for P3D flight simulation. It might not be fast enough, because obviously this is based off a CPU speed process. So if your CPU isn't fast enough for the program even to begin with, you're going to struggle with performance. I have an i7-700K CPU from Intel, but even a lesser i5 should be able to run the Black Marble products with P3D version 5. Going beyond i5, probably maybe not as possible, but of course, even going beyond i7, totally possible. If your CPU is more current than mine, you definitely will be able to run it. I can run this on high to ultra settings. Well, actually, I can run this on medium to high settings with loads of other add-ons in P3D and still get smooth frame rates. So if you've got a better CPU than me, then you should have no trouble also achieving that performance benchmark. Again, if this is taking longer than 3 minutes, then you got to think to yourself, my PC is not up to snuff, or there might be something else going on the PC slowing this down. That you might need to look into to rectify, to be able to then successfully, run P3D on its own, or even just Black Marble stuff. Now, what this Pro Scan is doing is it's scanning all your Windows operating system files and checking them against a backup copy on your hard drive in a location that you don't actually know about, to see if all your Windows operating system files are actually corrupt free. If they are corrupted, if they're errored, it will actually replace them for you and fix whatever error will come up. If it doesn't come up with an error, then you most likely have a clean Windows operating system. I always say run the scan 3 times, and if you get 3 yeses in a row, you have got a clean operating system. If it comes up once with a problem, then run the scan again, Here we go. Windows Resource Protection did not find any intricate violations, so that's cool. Another scan you can do is to check your hard disk isn't errored or corrupted. Okay. Now, there is a link to my Discord down below, and in the free Flight Sim Assets channel, I have this zip folder called the Adam Experience. If you open it up, you will find inside you will find steps to take here in order to run the check disk here. When you run this in exactly the same way, opening up the command prompt and then running it, it will say to you, well, you can't run it now because you're using your PC. On your next startup, we will check for you. Now, this code is good for SSD drives. If you're on a HD drive, you only need to do the first bit without the extra stuff here. If you're on an SSD, you do the entire thing, and there'll be no corruption on that SSD. Check your hard drive, make sure that there's no errors, and then continue. Also, inside this, you might want to grab the real-time protection WinRAR file there as well. So from the Adam Experience there's a few things you can use to make sure that you install Night Environment correctly. One of the things is going into the back end of your security here and make sure you disable everything. Make sure you turn off everything. You don't want the virus protection setting, like the real-time protection setting, to completely prevent the installation of the Black Marble products. So disable that. In my Atom experience, there is actually a reg file that you can easily and quickly run, and you can open it up in a notepad to see what it actually is, and that will actually disable Windows Defender Firewall for you. So if it's green here, it's enabled. If it's red, it's disabled. Make sure you disable it, and disable any real-time antivirus protection that you've got going on as well. Make sure that there is absolutely no virus scanning software running before you run this. Also, make sure that you back out of any other programs as well, such as Discord. They will also interfere with the installation of this. Now, obviously, I'm not going to fully install it, so I'll leave that there. Okay, so once you've done all that, your PC is now ready for installation. You can run this and there will be no files that will be overlooked. In other words, if you have your security running, you have your antivirus software running, you know, P3D is a legacy software and sometimes kicks up false positives for, you know, oh, this is a virus, right? When it actually isn't, you know, it's just because it's like legacy software. So you kind of have to make exclusions for P3D and associated installers for, you know, add-ons, or just disable everything. And if you disable everything, then you don't actually have to make those exclusions, although you could as a backup as well. And that way it's not going to prevent any files from installing or not give you the correct permissions, which also I recommend doing as well. Setting up the correct permissions on all your flight sim drives, giving everyone access to install on your drives. Of course, I'm not talking about everyone as in the world outside. We're talking about the installers that you run on your hard drive or your SSD drive. Giving everyone full control means that they don't have to ask permission from Windows 10 to install or place any files, or there is no Windows 10 denying access to any areas that the installation needs. And we're not just, this isn't really just for, you know, Creative Design Studios or Black Marble products. We're talking about any flight sim add-on, really. It's always best practice to disable all your security, give your drive full permissions, and that way you will never have an issue installing software. So let's get to it. Installing is pretty easy. You right click on it, you run as admin, make sure you're on the C drive or that you're on your desktop, and you will eventually get a pop-up from Creative Design Studios prompting you to continue. Now, it is so basic in the installation, okay? You literally just click next until it says finish, and that is it. There is nothing hard about this. Now, it does give you the option to install this anywhere you like, and the default location to install this will be in program data. So you click next, enter your information in there, click next again, and accept the terms and conditions and click next, and click P3D version 5. Do not click the update existing installation, and then click next. Now, I've obviously already installed this, so I'm not going to click next, but you just click next and it will run the installer until the end. It will also ask you where you want to install it. Now, by default, it will try and install it into program data on your C drive, and if that's okay for you, let it go into the default location on your C drive here. There is nothing wrong with it sitting in here, although if you're running out of space on your C drive, you can install it elsewhere. I chose myself to install it on my E drive over here, so that way I would have room to install other future regions as well. But obviously there will be then longer loads as it loads the data across into your sim. So expect a little bit of a delay maybe loading into your sim for the first time, but then subsequent times you'll be okay. Once you run the installer, it should go through pretty fairly quickly. If it hangs for more than 10 minutes, there is an issue, and I would address that issue. Most likely your real-time protection has kicked back in, possibly because that is on a timer, and it will kick in again after a set while. So just turn that off again, and most likely the installation will continue. When it finishes, you will get a pop-up of the control panel like this. and it will pop up like this. Now, if you have other night environment products, it will show you in this list here, okay? But just select the one that you've just installed, which it most likely will already say, which we did the south. All you have to do is go to Tools, Reset Region, and choose one of these presets. Now, I always go with the default preset because that is the Chris Bell recommendation. But if you don't have a strong PC, if your CPU is maybe lower than the i7, maybe go with the basic preset or the mid preset. Default preset is of a certain sort of level, and then if you've got a more recent CPU, you could probably even get away with high preset. High preset basically will auto configure anything down here below for you. You don't really have to do anything, but I always choose the default one. And it'll again reconfigure everything. If you want to then go in and make changes again, you can, but it will give you 100% of all the lights. Okay, so the lights that are available now are more than they were before. We have step lights here, as you can see, as they go down the steps here. We have raceway lights going around the tracks of the raceways. There are also traffic lights as well that actually change color to indicate, you know, road traffic. It is pretty cool. In the next video, I'm actually going to show you exactly what it looks like in California region. If you do want to make more alterations to this here, you can, not a problem. I like to increase the brightness level myself. Click apply changes, click OK, and you're ready to go. Basically, you shut that down and boot up your sim, and you're good to go. So let's go into the sim now and look at the configuration of the menu. So when you first load up your P3D, you might experience, you know, after installing Night Environment NG, you might experience a small delay in the loading of the sim into the sim, and that's just because all the new data is being transferred across. Nothing to worry about. So first things first, I really highly suggest using profiles for your sim, especially with the night environment or any Black Marble products. Create a specific profile with settings that are tuned to run this software without having any stutters or performance issues. You could even go as far as to do it per region as well. For instance, I'm sure California will be a lot heavier in night lighting than, say, Massachusetts out by New York. You know, less lights, less performance hits, so you can actually increase some settings. But I have an i7 700K CPU, I have a 1080 Ti GPU, and I've got 32 gig of memory. So if your specs are different to mine, then you will need to slightly alter, either increase or decrease, depending on what your specs are, to what I'm about to do here. But, you know, essentially, it won't be too far away. Starting in the full screen settings page, the resolution here, I have a 4K monitor, so ideally I should be choosing the 4K setting here. It really should be going against what your native display resolution is. In my case, it's 3840. That's the native resolution of my monitor. To matching this precisely to what your monitor actually is. I'm actually going to set it to 1440. I find I get a little bit of an increase of performance when I do that, but in terms of making sure you get your AA scaled correctly, you really want to choose your base native resolution in here. Most of the time, most of you, it will be 1080p. You just choose the 1080p option. Then coming down to the image and texture quality. Now, this texture resolution is directly linked to your monitor. These numbers here, matching these numbers to what the base or the height of your monitor is crucial in applying future AA. For instance, my monitor height, if we look at the 3840, is 2160. That's the height of my monitor. So 2048 is the closest to match that. Now, I don't need as high AA settings, because I'm pretty much matching the textures to my resolution on my screen. If you have a 1080p machine, you will want to tick the 1024 medium option. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but I want to see the crisp, ultra, high definition textures. And it's like, well, to be honest, if you're on a 1080p machine and you choose ultra, you now have to increase your AA in order to make those textures appear more smoother. And that is a big performance hit. Anti-aliasing really does affect your performance, and just choosing 16 times and like 8 times because it's the highest, thinking, oh, I'll get the best picture quality, actually means you're going to get the biggest performance hit and most likely blurry textures. Who wants to see their night lighting blurry? Not me. If you get this texture resolution to match exactly what your base monitor is, in my case 2048, then you can lower there's not enough need for anti-aliasing. If you match, like if I had a 4K, if I have got a 4K monitor, but I could choose 4096 effectively. If I set my resolution to 4096, I could actually then turn off all of this because I wouldn't need it, because the textures match identically the resolution of my monitor. But I lower that, so I lower this, and then I increase a little bit of this because I need to smooth the edges off. AA is the biggest performance hit in the sim. So the less AA you can use, the better your frames will be. I choose to target my frame rate to unlimited and turn VSync off because I lock my frame rate outside of my sim in my GPU to 30. I've done previous videos about that, so I won't get into that here, but I'll link those videos down below. Heading into the world section, I turn my tessellation factor right down. My mesh goes down to almost default level, mainly because at nighttime you ain't going to see the crispness of the mountains. So it's little point in ticking all this to inflict on your performance in the sim. So lowering all this down means you will actually have a better frames in the sim. The level of detail radius, now ultra and high, ultra is the max I would ever set it to. Going to max is actually going to probably cause you more performance hit, and the difference between ultra and max is really negligible. I mean, to be honest, even down to high is acceptable. But I'm gonna choose ultra for that one, and then I'm gonna turn my mesh resolution just down to nothing. Again, you're not gonna see mountain definition at night. It's pitch black, so you're not really going to see it. So I keep my texture resolution to 30 because obviously when you're at the airport you do want to see good quality textures. Most airport developers offer 60 to 30 centimeter airport textures, so going any higher is little advantage. I mean, there are some 15 centimeter airports, but you won't notice a massive difference between 15 and 30, but the performance will, so I put that down to there. Buildings, I mean, you don't really see, again, loads of detail for buildings, so having this down to its lowest option, apart from ticking it off, is the preferred option. Your scenery draw distance, you probably most likely do want to umph that. In fact, I'm going to increase that and I'm going to put that to high. And scenery complexity you can leave on normal. There is no benefit to increasing your scenery complexity, but your auto-gen vegetation density, if you are a black marble user, you do want to increase this to its highest. And in this case, the very dense option is the highest in P3D version 4 you can actually go. Well, I mean, you can go up to extremely dense, I believe, but it's in P3D version 5, very dense is the extremely dense in version 4. So setting very dense, it will give you the most lights in your sim, going out the furthest if you combine it with your auto-gen scenery draw distance, although putting between this to medium and high will increase your load time. So if you max this out, it will load a lot slower into your sim, and that's a bit of a thing with the sim, but putting it on medium or high is the preferred option there. Make sure you untick enhanced atmospherics if you're using version 5, because this kind of tends to obscure the lights a little bit. It does obviously work with enhanced atmospherics, the black marble range, but you will see the lights better if it's unticked. And to be honest, you don't actually see the atmosphere during the nighttime because there's no atmosphere to see. And because of the low visibility, you can turn your water detail down. You can untick the reflections. We don't need them, but make sure your special effects are set to high. Okay. The lighting, you can untick all your shadows. Make sure these say low because, again, nighttime, there's not much call for, shadows. I untick dynamic lighting and your dynamic reflections. Again, you're not really going to see that much. And if you turn this off anyway and you have clouds and user vehicle ticked, you actually still get dynamic reflections. So, okay. This picture brightness here is totally up to you. It's your personal preference to what you feel looks good. I use the values of 1, 10, and 1 and then mirror that in chase plane. So, and I tick auto exposure and enable HDR lighting, and it looks amazing. It's again your personal preference for the color and the contrast level for it. In traffic, I turn my airline density actually down to 25 and my road vehicles are up to 39 because I have black marble traffic. And that's pretty much it. Now, once you set all that, come into here and literally type in what your night environment NG, and this is for LA, is. So we click OK. I've already got a profile set for that, so we'll overwrite the settings in that. And that's basically it. That is how you set up the black marble night environment in your sim. And then when, of course, you go flying in the daytime, you just go and click your daytime setting, and it will look amazing still. And then when you click the nighttime, it will perform amazing. I really highly recommend using profiles to get black marble to give you the best of its product, as opposed to you thinking maybe I need to max out all my sliders to get the best. That actually will decrease your performance and your experience with any product really. So now the other thing finally I'll say is using high resolution terrain textures is of little point when you are running at night, because you don't see the terrain at all. So the fact that they're high resolution is of little benefit. So untick that box. Now, if you're doing a flight where it starts before sunrise or before sunset, but ends either after sunset or after sunrise, and therefore you will see some daytime, then make sure you do tick use high resolution terrain textures if your flight goes through the dawn or dusk period, because when that sun comes up or when the sun is up, you will want to see good terrain textures. But I would recommend definitely ticking that box and not ticking this box when you're just exclusively flying at night like we're about to do now. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm sorry if it's gone on for a bit. Links down below to the other videos that you'll need, and also the second of the video in this series showcasing what night environment NG looks like. Thank you for liking this video and subscribing to my channel. I do really appreciate all the support, and I'm glad that this video helps you get up and running with the black marble range, and I shall see you in the night skies. Take care. Bye-bye.